Today, I'm excited to bring to you a testimonial from one of my favorite clients, someone who's done really well in his program. His name is Lewis, and he joined the program over the summer, completely did everything he needed to do in the program, and changed his entire career as part of this program. So I'm excited to have Lewis join us in this conversation. So Lewis, welcome. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate that.
Let's dive into it, man. Tell me a little bit about high-level introduction of who you are and your background, especially like what you did before you joined Executive Career Accelerator.
Yes. So my name is Louis. I was an account director for a SAT company for 4 years, working with major companies globally, organizing all of the activities with each one of those major accounts, including sales, project management, sales engineering, and whatnot. Very interesting role, but it was an account director role, not an executive role.
And what did you do before that? Because I think there's some important context further back in your career.
Yeah, I mean, further back in my career, initially started as a school teacher. I worked for Dodds. I lived in Panama. After I did that, I started my business. So ran a technology integrator business where I Panama Canal all around security, involved with all kinds of different technologies, thermal cameras, fiber optics. And then later I sold my business. Before I sold it, I had a joint venture with Australia Maritime Systems for about 6 years, worked with them throughout Latin America, looking for radar type of business, radar for ports and coastal surveillance. Really neat stuff, and even sold stuff into Australia, the thermal camera portion. But I decided to sell that company and negotiated a sell and sold it off.
So you ran this company for a long time, you sold it off, and then eventually you took this role at the director level in this larger company, and you did that for 4 years. And then catch us up what happened at that point to bring you and me together.
Actually, after I worked and had my own business, I worked for a company that was doing satellite communications, software as a service in the maritime industry. I helped work with that company about 3 or 4 years, helped them win some very important projects in Panama, and decided to come back to the US and also work for Immersat doing business development there, the G2 group. But when I came back to the US, I got a job with ST Engineering as the account director, and decided needed to get involved in a program because I got laid off from my job.
Okay. So you got laid off, and at that point, I think you decided to just take a break, take a little bit of time away from work altogether to spend time with your wife, your family. And at that point, that's when you and I connected. So tell me a little bit about like when we first started talking, what motivated you to, reach out and have a conversation with me?
That's an excellent question, Tom. I think it's trying to understand the executive world. I mean, I ran a business for 20 years, and I understood how to run a business. I understood how to make money, how to get deals, deliver them, but I didn't understand the executive world. So corporate US, if you would. So I really felt like I was deficient in understanding executives, how they think, how to enter into that world. And I was highly motivated. I was starting to interview. I did take a sabbatical. I did take some time off, but I did start to interview and wasn't having success. So to answer your questions, really multifaceted, because one thing was not having the executive experience, understanding executive presence, understanding how to interview successfully. So there's many different areas we could discuss if you were interested hearing about it from me.
Yeah. How did how did you feel about making that investment in yourself?
That's another very good question. I mean, I had thought about doing an MBA program, going back and getting further education. I come from academia, so I feel like education is important. And I thought, well, maybe I don't have the right skills because I haven't gone to school to learn them. So that was one of the paths that I thought about. I had an interesting conversation with my wife. She's a believer in, getting consulting or assistance and help. And she really felt like I needed somebody that maybe came from technology industry, and somebody that could help guide me through the quagmire that exists in the corporate world. And really the next day I was on LinkedIn searching with a particular search in mind. Your name popped up. I watched the videos. I felt that your mantra and your energy was the right energy for me. I liked the fact that you discussed being audacious, and honest, all of the same things that I consider important, and that your value sets were similar to mine. So it was very natural and easy for me to say, this is the person I want to help me become an executive because it matches similar background and vision and values that I also have and share.
And I tell you, the time that we spent together, especially back then during that initial conversation, I felt a strong connection to you as well. Certainly because we came from a similar industry, but more so that you just seemed to be an incredibly honest and earnest person that seemed like you were just struggling with everything and felt a little lost. And for me, it felt like, okay, this is someone I can definitely help. So I was excited to lean into you. And so I'm excited that we got to work together. Can you describe what your experience throughout the program has been?
Yeah, I mean, the experience has been fantastic. It's been, if I had an expectation, I'm just going to throw a number out there of 10, it was 100. I mean, it was phenomenal. Just an incredible experience all the way through. I mean, there's 6 modules. Each one of them is in a world of itself. The volumes of information, it's like getting a fast track MBA, which is what you need as a professional in today's world. Who has time to spend 2 years to get an MBA? And I think you mentioned a figure of 60, 70, $80,000. It could be 150 depending on where you go to school or more. It's just, let's get down to the brass tacks and figure out, what is needed for one to learn to have executive presence, find out about yourself and what you want to do. What are your goals and what do you want to do long term? What kind of executive do you want to be? What areas you want to be? Define your leadership skills. Define what kind of leader you are. It goes on and on and on. I mean, if I gave the full answer, we'd be given the whole course. But I think it was like icing on the cake. It was what I needed in order to see through some sort of special glasses to say, okay, this is the way an executive sees the world. This is a view into it, and this is going to be a program that's going to help you or help one define much better and precisely how to penetrate and get into that world and be successful at it. And the 90 days, I mean, it's not just about getting a job. My God, it's like having a coach through the first 90 days, which is, like you always say, you can get the job, but keeping it is the other one, and meeting everybody's expectations on the executive level, where you get your job.
That's fantastic. And you have availed yourself to the entire program. You've gone through every bit of training and you've joined as many calls as you possibly can. And you have had, great interactions. Is there a specific part of the program or a specific thing that you and I did together that was the most impactful for you?
There are multiple things. I think it's doing a lot of the background profiling, who I am as an individual, my work, how I work, ENFP, all of the DISC testing, and really there was a disjoint in between who I am really and how I was working. And that was creating anxiety or stress, and it was making it difficult. The word is, it would burn me out of a job after a couple of years because I was just not being really who I am. So it was nice to know that I can be myself. I can be an open, an extrovert, a ENFP type person, caring type person, and yet also be an executive. And actually, that's a good asset. So it was not totally utilizing some of my full potential as a professional that now I am tapping into 100%. Well, hopefully 100%. That's the goal. That's one of the items, but there's been multiple things. I mean, belonging to a cohort, other professionals out there that are maybe, I'm going to use the word, struggling to understand themselves, struggling to try to decide what they want to do, how they want to be an executive, and being able to share with them ideas, like-minded ideas, and assist them as well. I think it goes back to me being a teacher. I want to help people, and I feel like this cohort is all about helping. It's not a dog bite dog type environment. It's a very friendly, open, caring, and the talent in the cohort is phenomenal. The caliber of the folks that have enrolled are of my caliber or much higher than me. So you're definitely flying with the Eagles in the program.
I think that's one thing that I really struggle with is figuring out how to help people on the outside understand the quality of the community on the inside. So you speaking to that means a lot to me. And what's great about this is that you continue to be a part of the community even after you complete the program. So you're always here in the program, and now you get to be the example to the people who are showing up new to the program. So thank you for being that version of yourself in this program as well.
You're welcome.
Tell me about, I think one of the things that we worked on most and most urgently was executive presence. Tell me a little bit about how that changed for you through the program.
Wow, that's a deep question, because I think I need to work a bit on my energy, is the word I would use. I think there was a bit of nervous energy. When you don't understand something, in my case, it comes across, I didn't understand the executive presence. I didn't understand a lot of things to grapple with that. So I think my energy was very high, and it was over the top. So I think my executive presence was kind of getting into the right mantra, the right groove. Don't know if I'm explaining myself very well, but it's like calming down, relaxing, listening, not always talking, asking questions. Actually, and I'm implementing it now in my job, is really talking a whole lot less and letting other people talk. And as an executive, you pick up all those data points that before, my energy was such, and maybe I talked too much, that I was not picking that up. So I'm able to see and hear things now just by being silent and listening, and implementing the 90-day plan. First 30 days, a lot of listening, a lot of asking questions.
Yeah, the version of you I'm talking to right now feels very different than the version of you when we were working together, back in the summer. And it was that nervous energy that you had, and we all have when we're in an anxious environment. And you really leaned into this more executive version of yourself. And like, this version of you is amazing. It's really fun to watch. And we've had lots of conversations about how, let's get to that. Let's talk a little bit about like what the outcome of this program was for you. How did things work out for you?
So I had interviewed with multiple SATCOM companies, many of them you know because you're in the industry. Maybe know some of the same folks that I know that were even interviewing me. And I wasn't having success. I wasn't being successful. During the interview module, which is extensive and very good and very helpful, I think it was very helpful to implement all of the different skills and methodologies to interviewing, but almost like relaxing. You're there to interview the company as well, ask questions. Don't just sit back and let the people interviewing you drill you with questions and you're just sitting there responding, but engaging them in a conversation, but just relaxing and just almost like a nonchalant, okay, I can have this job or not have it. Changing that whole energy really helped me to start becoming successful in my job interviews and turn them around totally, where I had several offers on the table and was able to pick the job and the company that actually matched my culture, my background, and who I am as a person. So worked in multiple ways. Helped me get the job, helped me have multiple offers, helped me negotiate the best offer, helped me align myself with the company that meets my culture and my value sets so that I feel a whole lot more relaxed and better at work. And then here I am, past the first 30 days. And now we're just working and discussing how to best implement the 90-day plan so that I can be successful. And so the company I work with can be successful. So I can become that executive that they wanted to hire and the executive I want to be.
And just to be clear, when you joined the program, you had been working as a director level employee in those other companies. You were interviewing for both director and VP level roles. What level role did you wind up with?
VP of business development role. Absolutely.
So you did move to the executive level, and now you're executing your first 90 days as an executive at the VP level.
That's correct.
That's fantastic. That's exciting. Tell me a little bit about like how this transformation that you've gone through here has helped both your professional and your personal life.
Well, interesting enough, and I'm putting this in my own words, but I think being an executive is, I'm going to go back to controlling energy. I think we as humans have to deal with a lot of emotional intelligence, emotional items, and that happens from work. Without giving specifics of work, but all of us have jobs. In this executive job, you're dealing with personalities and people and issues and problems and proposals, and really just scaling it down and say, hey, we've got this covered. That was one of the conversations we had in one of the meetings that we did with the cohort. We've got this covered. Things are going to be okay. We're going to be fine. It helps you to really focus on the business and not all of the extraneous things that are passing, whether it's an somebody who's upset or a problem or, a lot of putting out fires. And it allows you to, as an executive, to go into a mindset that you're just relaxed and you're able to handle things. Sort of like it's like Fire Central. You've got a command and control center, which also dealt with security. You've got to have people there in the command and control center who are calm and collected. And that's, as an executive, you are in the command and control center, need to be calm and collected. And that's how you can best help yourself professionally and also help the company you work for. So it's phenomenal outside the results on the work side. And in the family side, same thing. In my family, it actually has had a lot of very positive results. A lot of things that I would stress and worry and be concerned about have gone by the wayside. My conversations with the family are about projections and strategy and what are we going to do 5 years from now, diets and exercise. And of course, we've been talking about strategy, applying that for your 5-year plan in the company you work for, and what do you need to look for? What is a good strategy and how do you develop it? So there's a lot of depth in the course that's really hard to get across in a 15-minute conversation with you or 5-minute conversation with you, whatever. But there's so much depth and color in the course. And if you put your time and effort and energy into it, allow yourself to be coachable, you've got the world to gain.
Do you feel like this was the right investment for you to make?
I do. I think that the investment was perfectly fine. I got out of the investment has come back already because of the salary I've been able to secure, which is $75,000 higher base salary than what I had before. The investment has paid for itself tenfold there, right? If I do the math correct. So that's just in salary, but in peace of mind, I don't get stressed about a lot of the stuff I was stressing about before. I've got kind of control of myself, control of who I am as a person and executive. And again, I get to be myself and do my job, but just a little bit, calm down a bit, if that makes any sense.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And that's a 10 times return on investment every year, right? Just in terms of your base, not including the rest of compensation and so on and so on and so on. So that's really great to hear. One last question for you. What advice would you give to someone who's considering joining this program?
I think that you have to decide if you're ready. Are you coachable? Are you willing to listen to advice? Are you willing to soul search? Dig deep, because when you are defining who you want to be as an executive, because you have to define that, you have to soul search. You have to take very seriously. You have to do a lot of self-reflection. You have to do exercises. You have to do journals. You have to write things down. I think maybe if you have any issues, contact people who are in the course. Get some feedback. It's a big investment, but like we said, you're investing in your future and your life, not in somebody else's, not your kids, not your parents, your life, your profession. So I think it's a minimal investment for the return. And I said tenfold, like you said, it's tenfold over. But it's not just a value or money return. Your return is being able to handle situations better, having a full, almost MBA type of course, plus more, because it's better than an MBA. It's like getting down to the brass, I don't know how you say that, the brass, whatever.
Brass tacks. You got it.
Brass tacks. I don't think it's having expressions from Spanish come over my head as I'm telling. But yeah, so I think it's just phenomenal.
Well, Louis, I have to say you've done a phenomenal job in the program. Your transformation was fun to watch. You're absolute sponge for new material. You took a very coachable approach to all of this and just absorbed it and immediately applied it. And the results were tremendous. It was really great to watch. You have so much success so quickly, and you're proof positive that the time it takes to transform really depends on how much you're willing to lean into the teachings of the transformation. And here you are now, very successful VP level executive for a very large growing company, a big scaling company, and the future is wide open for you. So is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Thank you. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate the time you took to put down the ideas in a succinct way, very quickly, to be able to read the videos you gave. I recommend you watch. If you take the program, watch the videos, do the exercises, take the time. You've taken care of yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. But again, I just want to say thank you to you, to your wife, to the team, to Sandra, to Jackie, and it's growing. It's a growing program. It's awesome. I wish I had been able to participate in this program 20 years ago, but 20 years ago you weren't doing it. And only recently have you set up the program. But anyway, I can't say enough good things about the program, really. So I'm very, very, very happy. And I know that it's not just helping me this year, it's helping me next year and the following years as well. I mean, the sky's the limit. Yeah, space, a little bit of a pun there, but space is the limit, if you will. But it's phenomenal. I very much appreciate it, Tom.
And I appreciate you, Lewis, and I appreciate your time today. Kind of talk about your experience with this program. I think this hopefully will help some folks kind of hear from the inside a little bit what it's like for people on the inside of the program. So, Lewis, I sincerely appreciate you sharing your thoughts, your experiences in this video. It means a lot to me. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you.
Ditto. Same here. Looking forward to continue working with you as well, Tom.
All right, Lewis. Thanks so much.